This is Dolan TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel today. And let me tell you, you know what? Another day, another slow one out there in Oilers land. But that means, you know what? Let's get creative and discuss some things. I see some rival Oilers channels out there discussing some Drake Caggiula stuff. So, why don't we discuss someone else, eh? Let's go around the other way and discuss Derick Brassard, because this one that really has made no waves at all this offseason for the Oilers, but it's one that made a lot of waves for the Oilers last offseason before he signed that $1.2 million deal with the New York Islanders. So guys, if you're new to the channel, what I want you to do right now, hit that subscribe button. I mean, even on a slow day, we still got some Oilers discussion to have. So let's get to it. Make sure to come back as often as you can. Let's get to it. I don't usually have a coffee in hand, but went out of my way on the way home today. Check out a local cafe here in town, and pretty good little adventure, let me tell you. So, Derick Brassard. What do we know about Derick Brassard? Well, he played for the New York Islanders in 2019-2020. That's what we know about Derick Brassard on the most basic level. Now, Tyson, wait a minute. You said something about last offseason. Let's back up, because last offseason, I did a video on Derick Brassard about how he was a potential PTO candidate coming in right off a down year after being traded around 3 times between Pittsburgh, Florida, and Colorado, totaling 14 goals, 9 assists, really not having a great season at all, and being around and around and around, and coming off of a contract, and it was not a good time for Derick Brassard in the NHL in 18-19. Well, all of a sudden, he finds himself in New York, puts up 32 points on a 66-game clip, which is pretty much 5 games short of a full season in Oilers land. So, the guy wasn't too banged up at all this season, even though 66 sounds weird. It's really not, but it's one of those things where 32 points in a role that you don't really find yourself playing a lot of minutes, 13:42 per night, so a third line role for the New York Islanders he finds himself in. Well, that's all of a sudden not too bad of a get for 32 points at $1.2 million. Now, obviously, if the Oilers are talking anything to do with Derick Brassard, I would be hoping we are talking easy numbers like $700K. So I'm going to enlarge this, there's a lot on Derick Brassard you need to read off of hockeyreference.com. Started way back in 07-08 with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Then moved on to the New York Rangers, then to the Ottawa Senators for a year, then to the Pittsburgh Penguins for part of that year, the following year, and then to Florida, Colorado, and of course, where he was this past season with the New York Islanders. Now, by any stretch of the imagination, you look at it, his best season since 17-18 was the 19-20 year with the New York Islanders, and one of his more efficient years for sure. I mean, he was almost half point per game player in Pittsburgh, sure, but still almost half point per game in New York as well, in less ice time, which is what you'll see right here on your screen. Like if you come on right down here, you see right here in this column where it says ATOI. That's what I'm looking for. All right, so we've revisited the stats, right? That's Derick Brassard. Oh yeah, you know him. Well, guys, right, it would have been a good get for the third line. Let me tell you, the third line last year could have used Derick Brassard. Easy, right? Easy. And I mean, probably would have slotted in there and fit in the Riley Sheahan hole and solved it, or in the Gaetan Oss role, whatever, Jujhar Khaira role on the fourth line, whatever you want. For $1.2 million, he would have slotted just anywhere in the bottom 6 and been just fine. So, now in the COVID reality pandemic world, which we find ourselves living in, well, does Derick Brassard fit into this role here in the NHL with the Oilers of a $700K player that just comes in and gets the job done? Probably not. Honestly, Derick Brassard's probably a guy that'll find $1 million contract somewhere. That's right, it's Derick Brassard. We're not talking like a Dominic Simone with the Calgary Flames, But in essence, we kind of are, right? At the end of the day, is every $700,000 contract or less than $1 million contract that gets signed, a guy like Derick Brassard, who was making 1.2 last year, finds himself slipping down the salary chart day by day. 100%. A guy like Derick Brassard, yeah, sure, he had 32 points this season, but guess what? He's still an unrestricted free agent, and we are on October 22nd, so nobody's gone out of their way to snatch him up early, and he had 32 points last year in 66 games. Say what you will about a 33-year-old player, but the Oilers, way back when, in 2018's free agency, July 1st, I happen to remember it well because I was at home that day. I did some stuff and went with family, but I uploaded a video that day. This was a few months before I went to the Oilers full time. I uploaded a video about a guy we signed first day of free agency in Kyle Bronziak. Yeah, you might remember him from such hits as My Back's Bad and Trade Me to Detroit, but right? Like, he got signed first day of free agency and there was no real buzz about him putting up 32 points the previous year, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, he had put up a couple of decent seasons recently in that time, but wasn't a needle pusher by any means, and that's kind of what Derick Brassard finds himself in too, right? The past few years, yeah, 32 points, a higher number since 17-18, but that's not going to do it in this world we find ourselves in, where you have Anthony Duclair, who was supposedly one of the premium free agents this offseason as soon as the Ottawa Senators didn't qualify him, and here he's still unsigned. I believe Mike Hoffman's still unsigned, right? As you've got everybody all across the board, a lot of talent, really, that we've become accustomed to for certain teams in the NHL, finding themselves in no man's land still. So, I guess you could take this approach to it and say, yeah, it's still early days of free agency. Tyson, it's only October 22nd. I mean, free agency has only been open since Friday the 9th, was it? Friday the 9th, yeah. Free agency's only been open since Friday the 9th. Why are you panicking about a guy like Derick Brassard or Mike Hoffman not having a contract, Anthony Duclair? Well, because, right, is normally those are the guys that go first. But now in this weird world where you have everybody that everybody wanted signed already, and you have all the depth guys getting signed and all the RFAs getting signed, that is only doing one thing for the guys on the market who are holding out for the contract and situation they want. It's driving the price down. I can't imagine it doing anything else. All right, that's the thing. I can't imagine guys that are on the free agent market sitting here looking at their contracts going up the longer they sit on the market. I guess that's the economical argument I'm making, is it's just does not make sense that their contracts would rise sitting on a market when guys are signing for league minimum daily. And these are guys that, Dominic Simone's case today, the one that shocked me, $700K. That's a guy who played with Connor McDavid at times in the past few years. It's Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby. But you get the point, right? I guess you could say that about guys that played with Connor McDavid too, but, right? You don't see Andre Athanasiou out there signed either. Just saying. So, there's a lot of stuff just absolutely driving down the price. And if the Oilers can find a way to move out a piece, move in a Derick Brassard, right? I guess the question I've kind of dodged is, where does Derick Brassard fit in all this? I've kind of had this long expose on nothing right to this point. Derick Brassard, where does he fit with the Edmonton Oilers? The question is, well, probably in Jujhar Khaira's spot, probably in Alex Chiasson's spot, whatever their roster spot at the current moment is. That would be the answer, I guess you could say. So, realistically, yeah, you probably have to move one of those guys because the Oilers have probably too many forwards to fit realistically under the cap. So, yeah, we do have to move someone. And if you can move some money, you can add in another guy for $700K, free up $500, $600, $700, $1.5 million in cap space. And suddenly, yeah, you know what? You're sitting pretty. You can sign one more defenseman and away you go. So, there are a lot of things for the Oilers to answer. And I mean, you can go check out X-Snipes Edmonton Oilers discussions there about Drake Jula today, but right, is at this point, name who you want, you can probably get them for 700K league minimum in the NHL the upcoming season. That's the reality. So, I mean, if you want more discussions like this, let me know in the comments section below. But honestly, anyone left on the free agent market that didn't score more than 15 goals last season, I see no reason why they'll be signing for more than 700K to play the next season. So sit on that. Enjoy your evening. I'm going to take it easy. We're going to, hopefully, if it doesn't snow too much, we're going to go hard tomorrow. We're going to go very hard tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tyson. This is Stolany TV. I'm up on out of here.